Justice is not to be bought or sold. Justice is to be fair to everybody, giving equal treatment to everyone under the law. The railroad's legal tactics of scorched earth litigation is going to bite them in the end. That's wrong. They should be treating the people they do wrong and they kill immediately and seek them out to try to help them. It's not going and defending your cases and trying to make the victims feel worse and make it even worse on them. It's treating people correctly under the legal system, treating them right. What moves me the most when I represent the victims, the downtrodden, the needy, is looking in their eyes, seeing their hearts and their souls, knowing they need help, and saying, I went to law school, I got an education, and I'm going to do everything in my heart and soul to help you. How do I feel when I get a big verdict against a corporation? Like I did the right thing for the people who really needed the help. It's not about the money, and it's not about the verdict. It's about treating the people we represent with dignity, integrity, and justice. The U.S. court system, in treating the Mexican people, is treating them unjustly. Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, English, French, Germans, Chinese, Americans should be given equal justice. There's no difference because of man-made lines. If we as Americans don't stand up for what's right, we can see what happened in Nazi Germany taking place anywhere in our country. We talk about all the atrocities of that nation at that time period. Who stood up? Who was willing to make their voice heard? Who was willing to say, no, that's not right? If we allow that to happen in our own land, that is our own fault. We will destroy our own society because we give in. It's easier to let somebody else do it, but we don't want to speak up. I'll, for the rest of my life, be fighting to make certain that happens.
Today, the Insider Exclusive goes behind the headlines in Death on the Tracks, the JoseTorres story, to examine how Jim Scherr, Sam Legate, and Victor Bieganowski at Scherr and Legate successfully represented JoseTorres and won the largest railroad verdict for a single-family death against Union Pacific Railroad, $34 million. The trial court found that the Union Pacific engineers just ran down and killed Flora Torres, a loving mother of 3 children and her little 8-year-old daughter. Even though they had plenty of time to stop, amazingly over 1,700 feet before impact. And they didn't even try to slow down, they just accelerated. This story is about priorities, corporate responsibility, and safety. It's not about schedules and second-class people.
Hi, I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive, live from El Paso, Texas. It is my great pleasure to introduce Jim Scherr to the show and Sam Legate. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Today we have a case, a landmark case actually, against Union Pacific Railroad, $34 million verdict, and congratulations. To a mother and her daughter were killed by a train that never stopped. I understand it, in fact, it accelerated before it hit them. And it's a tragic case. Tell us a little bit about the victims and a little bit about the case, please.
Well, we had a mother and a daughter who were walking in a neighborhood, and they were walking across from their home, heading over to deliver burritos to their husband.
And that's Flora and Heidi, right?
And it's an area where people cross the tracks every day, all day long, and the railroad knew it. It was broad daylight as they were walking along the tracks, heading to deliver the burritos that they were carrying to the husband. A train, Union Pacific, coming straight at them, about a mile away, saw that they were walking. Train kept up its speed. It was traveling about 48 miles an hour, and it actually picked up speed to bring it up to 49 miles an hour. And instead of where they had plenty of time and distance to bring the train to a stop, instead of slowing down, the train kept on going.
And hit and killed them.
Killed the mother and the daughter.
Now, this was in daylight, right, Sam?
Yes, sir.
There was the issue that was brought up, why didn't the mother and the daughter see or hear the train?
Well, there's an effect called the Doppler effect. As a noise approaches you, you don't, and at 49 miles an hour, you don't hear it until it's too late. And if everyone's set at a railroad crossing, and you think you hear it in time to respond, but sometime if you're sitting there at a railroad crossing, pay attention to when you actually hear the train, and it's not until it's really right on you and you would not have any opportunity to get away.
And then also the question, why didn't they see it? I think they were walking into the sun, were they not?
And they had an umbrella directly in front of them.
Right.
And so it totally blocked their view.
So the train is about 1,700 feet away. The train's got plenty of time to stop, doesn't it? And
Absolutely.
the train does not stop. And ends up killing them. So what was your legal strategy to try and win this case for your clients?
That the train engineers had the last clear chance to have prevented this incident from happening. They saw them, they knew they were there, and they could have easily brought this train to a complete stop. Instead, they took the approach that they're going to get out of the way. It's people's job to get out of the way of our train.
I understand in reading a little bit about this case that the issue of the railroad keeping their schedule on time seemed to be more important than slowing down for people on the tracks. Was that right?
Yeah, they had the idea that it's their railroad tracks, you don't have any business on there, and it's your job to get out of our way. Be the same as if you're driving down the driveway at your house and someone's on your property and you see a kid playing in your driveway and you take the position, I don't have to stop, it's my driveway. And that's basically was their attitude. We don't have to stop, it's our railroad tracks, they can just get out of the way or we're going to hit them, which is what they did.
Some of the other defenses that the railroad has is said that these folks were trespassing on their property, right? How did you address that?
The people there are no signs, there are no warnings, there's no fences, and the whole neighborhood area, all the way in El Paso and probably many communities throughout the U.S., have people walking across the tracks to get from one side to the other.
So is there kind of an implied easement to the community because they don't erect any fences and tell people to keep out, do they?
Well, it's a necessity. In this particular case, you had a whole neighborhood on one side and all the businesses, there's a health clinic, there's a school, there's grocery store, all of those were on the other side. So if you live over here, the only way practically to get to school, and there was testimony about kids climbing over the trains to go to school. And they had to, that's how they had to get to school. The trains a lot of times just park right on the tracks, park right in the intersections. And the only way to get where you need to go is to cross.
Yeah, it's amazing that they didn't erect at some point in time some sort of safety area, just like you have a stop sign, right, where people can go across. Jim, you want to tell our audience a little bit about the pink sock theory. What is that exactly?
Defendants in the case from the very beginning kept asking the jury, and why didn't she get out of the way? All she had to do is take 1, 2, 3 steps over, and she would have completely avoided the collision.
Yeah.
It would have been safe and nothing happened. Well, the police video was the clue. When we look at the police video and the autopsy reports, you can see the location of the mother, the daughter, and there's a pink sock right past a spike on the track where the spike is standing up in the wrong place, and it's almost equidistant to the rail head. And then the shoe was right past the pink sock. What it showed circumstantially is when the train came, the mother's foot got stuck between the spike and the rail. And you could see in the evidence, out of the autopsy report, because the mother took the brunt of the impact and the daughter had injuries resulting from being thrown in the impact. Mm-hmm. What the evidence circumstantially showed was that the mother got stuck. Her daughter, a little child, was probably crying, "Mother, come on, we got to get out of the train," out of the way of the train. The mother couldn't get out of the way, was probably trying to push her away. The train hit the mother, knocked her back into her daughter, killing both of them. The shoe came off, the pink sock fell. That pink sock showed what happened.
In essence, the pink sock proved your case, didn't it?
The pink sock was the final argument in this case.
Okay, and that was the overwhelming evidence that the jury needed to come back with a very substantial verdict, which I think was the largest verdict at that time against Union Pacific Railroad.
For a single family, that's true.
$34 million.
And plus the attitude. Both the engineer and the conductor had already instances of having killed people before.
It's amazing when I read this case that here you have an engineer, didn't slow down, didn't stop until the very end, kills people, and they're not held personally responsible. That's the amazing part. That is the amazing part. We also have with us today another attorney in your office that helped with the case. We're going to bring him on right now, Victor Bieganowski. So let's do that right now. It is my great pleasure to introduce Victor Bieganowski to the show. Welcome to the show, Victor.
My pleasure to be here.
I understand you are the railroad expert here at the firm, correct?
Well, I handle a lot of railroad cases, that's true.
Tell us a little bit about railroad safety or the lack of railroad safety.
Well, what a lot of people don't understand is the major railroads in this country, Union Pacific, Burlington Northern, Santa Fe, CSX, they not only run the railroads, but they're property owners. They are premises owners. Back in the 1860s, by act of Congress, they were given rights of way wherever they built their tracks. So over the years, the railroads have built thousands of miles of tracks. For example, Burlington Northern Santa Fe has 32,000 miles of tracks. Well, they also have rights of way which extend anywhere from 25 to 100 feet on either side of the tracks.
They own that land outright.
They are premises owners, and anyone on that track who's uninvited or is unauthorized is considered by them to be a trespasser. Well, the reality of the situation is that as these railroads have grown up and expanded, communities have developed along the side of them. So most of the people that live there, it's just a reality in this town as well as others, that people have to cross over the tracks. And so the railroad tells them that they're trespassers. There's different duties that the railroad owns. One is safety. You're correct in operating the trains. The train crew are governed by what they call the Code of Federal Regulations. And those are rules that were made up a while ago by all the railroads, and they follow them. So the train crews have to follow these safety rules, such as you hear the horns. They have to blow their horn in a certain sequence when they approach a crossing. It's too long, it's short and long. And if you live in a community where there's a lot of railroads, you'll see that. Of course, in our business, when one of our clients are in danger of being hit by a train, they have to use different safety rules, such as when to put on the emergency brakes, when to blow the horn, and to be vigilant. So those are some of the safety rules that the railroad has to follow.
Mm-hmm. And what do you find the attitude of railroads generally when there's an accident? And there's lots of accidents. What is their initial attitude?
Their initial attitude is immediately they contact their attorney wherever that accident happens. Mm-hmm. That attorney contacts a railroad claims agent. That claims agent then goes to the scene under the guidance of normally the railroad lawyer, and they prepare and they investigate the incident so that they know pretty much what happened. Not that they try and do anything to hide anything, but they investigate the accident very well,
Yeah.
and they prepare for litigation. That's what they do.
Their attitude generally, though, is you're going to have to fight us tooth and nail to get one penny out of us and to prove that it wasn't your fault, correct?
And they do.
Yeah.
They do. These these cases take years. The discovery is very complicated. It's not like, and not I'm demeaning an automobile accident, but unless you're really sophisticated and know the inner workings of the railroad and what documents to ask for, and very specifically, you won't get the information that's correct.
Is that right?
That's correct. For example, if you ask for a police report, we send out requests for production. That's discovery that we send to the railroad. They send us questions. We want certain documents. And if you just ask for police reports, all you're going to get normally is the police report of the local police who investigated the incident.
Not their police report.
Not their police reports. For example, I have a case with Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad pending in federal court in New Mexico. And I asked for police reports initially. Well, I didn't know this, but down the road, being persistent, we found out that term can include something called the ROCC call reports. Well, what's that? I didn't know what that was. Well, that's reports of trespassers who frequent the area of the incident where your case, where the person was injured or killed. There's also a field interview report, which is another report where the railroad police actually go out there and interview the people to find out what happened. And then there's an undocumented alien report.
Jim, I have found in covering a lot of these stories with railroads that oftentimes their attitude is that you need us. You know, they transport all the goods of America. So what are you going to do to us, right? Do you find that attitude prevalent amongst railroad attorneys?
Railroads are very important for America, no question about that. But they also have a duty not to kill people.
Yeah.
And they have a duty to be safe, not only for their own employees, but for every one of us.
Yeah.
Because this is America, and all of us respect human life.
Right.
And one of the things we always have to enforce for everyone, particularly railroad, is human life is more important than being on time.
Mm-hmm. Most of your cases in your career, Victor, have been railroad cases?
They have been.
They have been very trying,
Very difficult.
When you are on a case, a railroad case, the lawyers on the other side know your reputation, and they know that you can be as persistent as you have always been. So are they more inclined maybe to settle a case or work with you?
No.
No.
Railroads tend to work the cases right to the end. When we file a lawsuit at this firm, Scherr and Legate, we figure it's a 2 to 4 year ordeal.
Just to get to the trial level.
Just to get to the trial level.
Yeah.
Now, that will change if you're in federal court, because the scheduling time limits in federal court are a lot shorter. But it's not unusual for a case in state court to go 2 to 4 years, and sometimes in federal court also.
Right. In these kinds of cases, when someone comes to you and they've been injured, they've been killed, someone's been killed in their family, how do you evaluate whether to take the case or not?
Well, it's a thorough investigation that we do. We try to go through and understand what the family's like, what happened to the person, how they were killed, and what circumstances. And then we take the case on and get in the lawsuit and gather our evidence. Because normally the evidence is held by the railroad.
Right.
They have a lot of evidence in their possession that they don't share. They do not give it to the police department when they go investigate the incident. They have a black box on board. They have onboard videos.
Are they not required by law to give it to the local police department? No.
No, and they don't. In fact, most police departments, the railroads go out and try to teach and train law enforcement on how to investigate a train wreck. And what they teach them is how to blame the victim. They never teach them on how to investigate whether the crew did wrong or the train did wrong.
There have been many, many cases against the railroad over the years, okay? Do you see, as a result of some of these cases, that there has been some changes in the way the railroad operates that benefit everyday people?
In our community, we take cases for a lot of reasons, but we love the community we live in and we like to serve them. We've found that through some of the cases we've brought that the train crews go a little slower, that they blow their horn a little more frequently, because really the control of the train is within the train crew. In the investigation of a case coming from the railroad's point of view, they have what they call a grade crossing collision investigation, where they teach their train crews how to act whenever they're involved in an incident. But as far as have I seen a better
Way to
let's say
operate,
a
yeah.
better way to operate, a safer way to operate, somewhat, but not really.
Okay.
Because trains, as I've been told many times in depositions, time is money. That when a train is held up on a track, then that not only holds up that train, but a myriad of trains
Yeah.
up and down the line. So I'm sure some have been in certain instances, but as a whole, not so much.
Yeah. I want to thank both of you for being on the program. These are difficult cases, and I want everybody to realize that, you know, when you're involved with the railroad, you're up against some tough people who are not going to give up easy. And if it wasn't for lawyers like yourself who are willing to take these cases on, everybody would be out of luck. So thank you very much for being, and congratulations on your verdict.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.